All your life, you've been sure that the world around you has been filled with various empty spaces, both between objects and between you and objects. But in the world that is actually occurring, there are no empty spaces. Things and processes impinge directly upon each other and feed into each other and rise into each other, with no separations or empty spaces or clear edges. The world is a manifold, not an arrangement of objects in pre-existing Cartesian space. Let's take a minute to understand the idea of manifold. Think of it this way. Manifold is world with all the empty space removed. If you go sit on your back steps and look carefully at your backyard, you are looking at manifold. The grass and the dirt and the rotting leaves and the thin, whitish, spidery root veins and the bigger roots and so on are all impinging upon each other, communicating, networking, and existing in symbiosis. It all butts up against the bottom step, which is starting to rot into the soil. The steps themselves are now sagging slightly to the left, which is why you always sit to the right when you come out with your tea in the late afternoon. The right side of the steps gets more sunlight anyhow, so that's okay, which means you get the sun you need. And the vitamin D boost from the sunlight that spreads through your body chemistry is also getting boosted by the caffeine from the tea, and so on. This is how the phenomenal world connects together. There is no truly empty space anywhere in this moment, and there is no true empty space in any moment of world. Phenomenal moments are temporal. They do not have inherent spatial dimensions. All of the empty spaces in your field of perception are being inserted by your OS. When you stop inserting these empty spaces, your encounter with the world changes entirely. If you stop inserting empty space into this moment of boat and sky, it becomes far easier to see how the sun and wind and salt air and fishermen and family and the storm last week are all arising into this exact moment of boat. This arising does not occur in some physical space. This arising occurs as what you are seeing, and there are no native empty spaces within this event. We can pluck out parts of this momentary event, isolate them, surround them with empty space, and label these parts as boat or beach. But these isolated objects are mental creations. The objects we create and name are not really there, and the empty spaces that we insert in between them are not really there either. Cartesian space is a spatial structure that we are imposing upon a temporal event. The edges that our mind draws and the spaces it inserts exist in our Cartesian map of the world. But in the temporal occurrence of the world itself, in the phenomenal moment, there are no edges or empty spaces. With empty space removed, this boat is no longer an object located in space. It is part of a moment of world. This is how you start unplugging your belief that the world is a place you are in. You stop inserting the empty spaces. When we stop making a spatial landscape out of each temporal moment of world, we are once again involved in an event, not located in a place. We are occurring, not existing. So when you stop inserting empty spaces, you hack your way into the ontological change that we're after. You will still be able to model the world neurologically, according to Cartesian rules. If someone tosses you an apple, you will still be able to catch it and eat it. But Cartesian modeling will then be functioning in its proper role, as a tool for operating in the moment. Seen in terms of dependent arising, each phenomenal moment can be encountered in two ways, and you won't find empty space in either encounter. You can see that what this boat is extends endlessly outward through both being and time, through generations of fishermen, salt air, forest, and years of tides and sand. You can also see it the opposite way, that generations of fishermen, forests, salt air, ocean currents, storm, peeling paint, and so on, are all arising into and arriving as this exact moment of boat. From the first perspective, every so-called thing you encounter stretches out endlessly into being and time, and weaves all of being and time together. From the second perspective, all of being and time shows up as the momentary form of each thing you encounter.